Hello everybody and welcome back to the YouTube channel. In this episode we have a shower that needs a grout and silicone restore. As you can see here, it's a white tile shower with white grout, and a good portion of the grout is stained, and even in some spots the grout is missing because it's been cleaned. It's been scrubbed so hard that some of the grout has actually been removed. So first thing to do in this shower is to go ahead and remove the silicone from the corners. This tool here is a 5-in-1, and it's my go-to tool for almost everything. It just works good for everything. So just get the corner in there and scrape out, remove the silicone as much as you can. You want to get everything out that you can so you can apply a nice, clean, adequate bead of silicone to protect your joint here at the between the wall and the floor. You can use a razor blade, you can use a small drywall knife, taping knife, probably a screwdriver, flathead, anything you can use to get that stuff out of there. Then go ahead and clean it all up, sweep it up, vacuum it out, make sure you get all that debris out of there before you move on. Now with this bathroom, some of the floor grout is deep enough now because it's been cleaned so many times. It's missing a good 1/4 inch of grout. That's more than enough room to do a skim coat of fresh grout. And also, if you have any pin size holes or bigger, you're going to need to fill that in with fresh grout. But for the parts that are where the grout is still in good shape, it's just discolored, you can use a product like this. This isn't the product that I wanted to get, but Lowe's was sold out of the just a liquid form that comes in a bottle. This is like a pen that you can has a tip that you can depress, and it will release a little bit of the dye in there. And I found that going back with the brush and brushing it in works better than just a tip. So basically how you use this is you want to make sure all of your grout is clean and dry. That's very important. And what you do is you apply this tint to the grout. Don't do too much at one time. Just do maybe a foot or two. And what you want to do is rub that in and wipe it off immediately. Wipe off the excess off of the tile because it dries pretty quick. It's got like an alcohol or some kind of additive in it that makes it dry pretty fast. That method turned out to not really work so well, so what I did is I cut the tube and poured out the rest of the liquid in there, and I applied it with a toothbrush, which actually worked really well. I wasn't sure how good it was going to work. It's the first time I've ever used a product like this, but as you can see here, the toothbrush applies it more generously, and it seems to penetrate the grout a little bit better. But the process is the same. You wipe it on, you rub it on, and then you wipe it off before it dries. Okay, so if you have really stained grout, and as long as the grout's not damaged, basically you could just do several applications. Apply it, wipe it clean, let it dry, and just rinse and repeat until it's white again. Okay, so here I am mixing up some grout. If your grout joints are 1/8 or less, you would use unsanded, and if it's 1/8 or more, you could use sanded. Just mixing up some white grout. I tried mixing it up in my drywall mud pan just because it was such a small amount, and it took forever to mix. So I recommend just a small bucket and a bit with a drill if you have it. If not, just take you a little bit longer to mix it by hand. Basically, we're looking for a nice creamy consistency, not too thick, not too watery. And with this application as well, you want to make sure that your floor is clean and relatively dry. And just go ahead and apply this stuff wherever it needs to be filled. This is fast setting grout. It will set up in, I think, a few hours. So what you do is, or the way I do this is I apply to a small area. Maybe you could probably do the whole shower at one time, but you don't want to do too much more before you start wiping it up. You don't want to let it completely dry, or it's going to be a nightmare to wipe off with your sponge and water. I've had that happen before, and it's just a real nightmare. Your wrists will be broken the next day. So after it's slightly hazed and you can clean it up, just kind of wipe it free with a clean water and sponge, and let that set up a little bit longer before you hit it again. And it's not going to be completely clean, but just get most of the excess off and let it do its thing. Let it dry. Don't mess with it too much. Don't put too much water on it. So as you're applying it, I like to use that little technique to where you just kind of you do like a zigzag pattern, and you want to try and press it into the joints as much as you can, and then lightly with your sponge you just kind of float over it. That's kind of your finish that you're putting on it. With this, you want to try to not get it in the very corner perimeter crack right there. That's going to be reserved for silicone, so you want to keep the grout out of that crack if you can, because the silicone, it'd be better if you had more silicone in there, and if you get grout in there, you're going to have grout and silicone, which means not as much silicone, which also means not as good as a water barrier. Okay, so the silicone, there's several ways you can do it. You can tape each side and leave just a little opening to spread the silicone. You can put it on like this and spray it with Windex or soapy water to before you rub it in, and then that will let you remove the excess without it sticking to everything. Also, I have this tool here that you can buy at Lowe's or Home Depot, and it's a cool little tool. It's got several shapes on each corner, so it will allow you to leave bigger joints and smaller joints, and it really does a good job of removing the silicone that you don't want there. But there's no easy way about it, in my opinion. You just gotta get some experience with the silicone, because it's not like caulking. It's really sticky. It's yeah, it's just its own thing. So I have found that if you lay the proper amount, okay, so if you get it pretty close to the amount that you need, not too much, not too little, you can just go back and slightly flatten it with your finger, or press it into the corner. That seems to work the best. And then when you get too much, you can use the tool to scrape it away. Some people will lay the silicone down in a bead and spray it with Windex or denatured alcohol or soapy water, and then just wipe up the excess with a rag. The only problems with that method is when you're using the liquid to make sure that nothing sticks. If you didn't get all the silicone where you wanted it to, it's also going to help it to not stick to where it needs to go. So I prefer to not use it as much, because I know I'm getting a better bond on my silicone, and therefore a better water barrier. So if your grout and tile have a similar problem, I do recommend this process. It worked really well. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. This is a pretty easy DIY project, so if your bathroom needs a facelift, this is easily doable by a homeowner. And you'll be surprised with the results. Once your new grout has time to dry and cure, I recommend getting a bottle, or probably just a bottle of grout sealer, and go ahead and apply that to all your new grout and any other grout joints you want to protect, so that way it will last much longer. And if any pros out there have any tips or tricks or anything that you would have done differently, please comment down below and let me know what you do in these situations. And if you guys like the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching, guys.